So here are 3 laws that people don't know about or don't really know the real purpose of that affects people who are either like being trafficked or people who are just doing what people consider quote unquote living life these days. So the first thing I wrote down is the fact that people don't know that sex trafficking victims of all ages get thrown in jail themselves, and of course the perpetrators run free. And I'm not even talking about like elite type stuff with high level people, even with people who were just not rich or anything, or not like high profile, who are doing this stuff. They don't even go to jail either, of course, because I mean, it makes sense since like the average chomo isn't going to jail or getting charged either. But yet the kid victims commonly are. And I already have a whole video about how the kid victims get charged with quote unquote CP, which I don't even like that term. I really rather just call all of it people abuse imagery, although some of those quote unquote people are Marine Kingdom agents, but that's a whole side story. So yeah, a lot of trafficking victims get thrown in jail and then they get charged with prostitution. And then some of the charges that the kids will commonly get is CP, as I've already mentioned, quote unquote. And they'll get put on the I don't know if I can say this word on here, I guess so, but they'll get put on the sex offender registry. 2, a lot of people don't know this. The age of consent laws were actually made to keep minors or teens from having sex with each other. And I'm not saying that they should, or really that anybody should be running around, sleeping around, and fornicating and getting sexually transmitted demons, but I'm just saying this is the truth that people seem to really not know. But that's what this law was made for. It wasn't actually made to prevent SA. Not that a law would really prevent that anyway, but it wasn't, basically has nothing to do with like people quote unquote dating people who are too young for them, or what's the other thing called? I don't know if I can say that word, but I'll just say statutory essay. It wasn't actually made for any of those things. In fact, something that lawyers will say a lot when they get asked questions about stuff like this is that there actually are no laws around who can date who. It's really just about who can have sex with who, but that's barely even true, to be honest. But anywho, 3, kid victims get charged with quote unquote CP, which I already have a whole video about this. And in number 2 and number 3, sometimes even the first one, these kids will get put on the sex offender registry. So like, another example, which I seen some people talking about, it was this video where this dude was talking about how some kids were like having sex in his backyard or something behind a bush, and he said that they were like 14 or 16 or something, and he said that that girl didn't know her worth. But if you want to be really honest, both of those people in that situation don't really know their worth, but most people don't really understand that or what relationships actually are or are for, or the spiritual side of it. Doesn't matter how old they are. Majority of people don't really get what any of that stuff is. But anyway, to get to the point. So he said that he saw that and he felt bad because quote unquote the girl didn't know her worth. Which, I mean, if you really felt that way, you should have said something. I mean, I guess after the fact, maybe not. But yeah. Anywho. So somebody in the comments was like, I would have called the police on them. And then people are letting them know, call the police on them so that way they could both get put on the sex offender registry. And they're right. That's exactly what would happen in that situation. Even if it wasn't in somebody's backyard and it was in like the house or something. So I just wanted to like mention these because a lot of people seem to not know this. But that's the truth revolving around these laws. Like commonly, at least in adult jails, sometimes some organizations will like go into the jails after the people get locked up for quote unquote prostitution. At least for the adults, they don't really care about the younger people. Not that they really care about anybody. And they'll ask them, "Were you a trafficking victim?" And majority of them say yes, and they actually are. And of course, they don't get out of jail either. And that kind of all goes hand in hand with something that I mention all the time since I was doing the evidence channels. It's like people really need to come together because there's systems that people are ran through to destroy them spiritually, mentally, and physically. And then it's like the systems do their all to keep you in there. Like there's more than TTIs. There's more than higher level trafficking because commonly people get into higher level trafficking through the lower level branches of the Cash for Kids system, or the other side that I call the people cash cow systems, or the adult cash cow systems. So yes, more than TTIs, it's more than the school to prison pipeline. It's more than what are the other things called? It's more than electroshock quote unquote therapy, which isn't therapy, it's experiments and all of it's trauma-based mind control. But yeah. So I guess that's it.